What's going on, everybody? This is Roy Cannaday. I am the editor here at the Dice Tower. I run a ton of the live streams and everything like that, and I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So make sure to leave me some questions, and I will try to get to a bunch of them in the comments, and make sure to hit us up there. But I do want to mention, I already have it on the screen here, there is a contest for Game Nerds today. You can win a $10 Game Nerds gift card for U.S. residents. All you have to do is email contest@dicetower.com, and in the subject line put surfing. But yeah, it would be awesome to have you check out the contest and to ask a bunch of questions here on this Q&A. Let me go ahead and whoosh, make that disappear. Awesome. Well, how's everybody doing today? I've been editing stuff up. I was part of Board Game Breakfast this morning. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, we have a packed week here here at the Dice Tower, but I'm feeling good about everything. We're gonna have that 30-hour marathon later on in the week, and that'll be super exciting as well, but getting everything prepped for that as well. So, you know, making everything happen here at the Dice Tower. Everybody's coming in saying hi, hi. Okay, let's add this one here. Roy. Hi, Roy. Does Tom ever break game components with the verdict hammer? Occasionally, I mean, normally not the components. A lot of times if he does like expansions, he'll bring out like the big hammer or like hit his hammer with like the expansion box more. And sometimes I help encourage him to do those sort of things just so that way we can see the reaction of the people in the comments most of the time. But yeah, I don't think he normally breaks things with the hammer. Sometimes things get broken occasionally, and Tom will bring me like a miniature and be like, hey, our super glue is back together. And I actually have super glue right beside my desk, so that way randomly when Tom's like, here, do the modeling on this thing, I put together tons of Warhammer 40K and stuff like that. So gluing things together isn't that big of a deal. But, you know, things break sometimes, but not normally because of the Hammer of Judgment. Everybody's saying hi here. Okay. Hi, Roy. Greetings from Mexico. Hola, what's going on? Did you play Tainted Grail? Any thoughts on it? So I played Etherfields. I never actually got a chance to play Tainted Grail. I heard that it was really good. I heard the story was good and it was really awesome, but sometimes it got bogged down in combat and things like that. I never actually played the game. I really like Awakened Realms games. I love how big and epic and the scope and stuff feels for them, but a lot of times I don't think... The only one that I own is Nemesis, and it doesn't get to the table as much as I wish. And that's mostly just because a lot of their games are not as intuitive as other things, you know. And it's really hard to get to the table when they're not as streamlined as other games. But I want to play Nemesis more. I would like to try Tainted Grail, but I've played Etherfields a decent amount, so. Oh, wow. Let's see. This one's an important question, and I'll have to think about it. Morning, Roy. What was the best thing you ate this weekend? So, I went to a cookout at Tom's church. That was pretty good. And I had like a big like sausage bratwurst thing. I don't know if that's the best thing. I ate some pizza with my kids. We stopped at a pizza place when we were driving through Florida, and I ate like pepperoni pineapple pizza, which of course, obviously pineapple on pizza is amazing. I just had a pineapple vanilla milkshake from Robert's here, which Mike bought me with, so I like pineapple, so, and it belongs on pizza, so it's really good. What's the best thing I ate? I don't think I had anything too crazy. I'm gonna forget something and get myself in trouble, but, oh man, yeah. Nothing too crazy. I had some, me and my girlfriend Ruthie went and got Cuban food Friday, I think. So that counts, well, maybe it was Thursday. Thursday, I think that counts as getting close to the weekend, and it was really good. There's a lot of new stuff that I hadn't necessarily tried before. I had Imperial Rice, which was really good. And then, I don't even know how to say it, ropa, like the shredded meat is really good as well. There's a lot of really good Cuban food. And of course, plantains are also always delicious. Fried plantains. But yeah, good stuff. Are you broadcasting from the Fallout Vault? So this is where I normally sit when I edit stuff and run live streams. I know it looks like I'm in a vault and maybe even sounds like I'm in a vault, but this is quite literally the normal shot you get when we do videos is the camera pointed the opposite direction. So the camera is normally pointed that way, and then I'm sitting back here with TV screens and like the sound, like the wireless system and stuff like that. So normally you don't see this angle, but this is basically like, just imagine when we do our normal stuff, the camera's pointed that way. This is what it looks like when it's pointed this way. So yes, I'm broadcasting from the Fallout Vault. Hopefully it saves me from all the nuclear radiation. How goes the painting of Marvel United X Sentinels? I don't actually have a copy of Marvel United. I posted a picture of me holding a Sentinel. That's actually Z's copy of the game. It came in, but hopefully the rest of everybody's copies of Marvel United will come in soon. I know Tom's been waiting for his for forever, but Z's actually, I think he's like organizing all of his Marvel United stuff right now in the other room. But we're getting all prepared to start playing through a bunch of that stuff and like trying it out. And of course, I think Tom wants to do like a bunch of comparisons and things like that as well. Oh my goodness. Roy, when is the Marvel Champions Spider-Man set review? So I've played the heroes a ton of times, and I've played through half of the campaign. I think maybe more than half the campaign. I have 2 more villains left to fight. And I really need to play through it more to get a full review out of it. But yeah, hopefully soon. I've played Nova out of the new characters, and I really want to play Ironheart. I'm hoping to get more plays in a Marvel Champions maybe this week, so that way I can start like cranking out the reviews of those videos. I just need to play the characters more, and playing through all the different villains just need more playtime. I love Marvel Champions, and I love playing through all the stuff and trying out all the new things. But yeah. What do you look forward to every day at work? I really enjoy when we have like silly moments and live streams and things like that. That's always fun. And it's funny because you know how like a lot of the guys in the group like make you guys crack up. Like sometimes they make me crack up back here from like behind the scenes. I enjoy the conversations we have. I mean, this is a very interesting job because we're all pretty much like super nerds. So we're talking about like the newest Marvel movie or this newest series that came out or these comic books, and just all the nerdy chat and chatter and all the geeky stuff that we get into is a lot of fun. I feel like we might have very different taste in games, but as far as like stuff goes, we all like get excited about a whole bunch of the same stuff. So it makes a lot of fun coming into work every day and like working with your friends basically. So it's a lot of fun just being able to hang out with friends, but we get a lot of work done too because there's a lot of slamming, editing, and trying to get through all of that stuff and making sure everything's just right for those live streams that everybody sees. So there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that's work, but coming together with friends is the best part. I wish I could go swimming today, but body wasn't agreeing with me. I don't know if that's a question. That wasn't a question. They put a question on a different thing. We're answering this question. I went swimming yesterday. I did a water slide at a picnic at Tom's church. That was a lot of fun. My kids were having a blast on it. They also opened up the clubhouse in my neighborhood, so we can go swimming there, and I was taking my kids swimming and all that stuff, and went with my girlfriend, and we just had a blast. It was water day yesterday, so that was a lot of fun. How geeky are your geekiest t-shirts? This one's pretty geeky. This is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I get a bunch of my t-shirts from Five Below. So I wear a whole bunch of different t-shirts, but they're not very expensive because I get them for like $5. But they have a lot of Marvel stuff there sometimes, and I don't know. It's mostly Marvel. I have a bunch of anime t-shirts and things like that. So depending on which style of comics you're into, whether it's Japanese or American, I'm into both. So there you go. This question's gonna get me in trouble. Is it awkward being a more successful and famous board game designer than your boss? Yes. No. Tom was keeping track of like how my game was doing versus how his game, nothing personal, was doing or whatever. He's like, well, you passed me in funding, and like, well, and he actually is like, well, you're a better designer. I don't know. It's not that awkward, but it's still just kind of funny. I just like to make things and get people excited about them. I mean, I just tried to make a game that I really like. So It's only partially awkward, but we have fun regardless, and we joke about things like that, so good times. What? No. Let's see. I saw you went to Atomic over Memorial Day break. Yes, it was a drive, for sure. I mean, we're in Homestead, Florida, and my family is actually up in Virginia. So I drove all the way up to Virginia, which was like 14 hours. And then one of the days while I was up there, I loaded my girlfriend and my kids in the car, and we drove over to Raleigh from Martinsville, Virginia. And we did Atomic Empire, which is a great game store. I mostly went there because I'm like, I need to get Ironheart and Nova for Marvel Champions because I hadn't actually bought it yet, and I knew they had it in stock. But I really love that game store because it's a pretty decent size, and they have a ton of different games there. So we had a blast looking at all the different geeky stuff and things like that. And the kids got some Funko Pops and some Pokemon cards, and I got Marvel Champions, and my girlfriend got some dice to play for like one of my prototypes I'm working on. But yeah, just a bunch of different stuff, and we had a lot of fun. We also went to all-you-can-eat sushi. There's this place called Rocking Rolls up there, and we got crazy all-you-can-eat conveyor belt sushi, which basically shouldn't exist because you'll explode. You just lay on the conveyor belt and the sushi just falls in your face, basically. But yeah, good times. Sorry if you've answered this, but is Last Light coming to retail? There is a retail version of the game. I know that the GameFound version is going to have like better ship miniatures and like maybe some nicer components and things like that. But there will be a version of it coming to retail also. But there is late pledging for the game right now. So if you just go to GameFound, you can also check it out there. But if you're super loyal to your friendly local game store and you really want to support them, they could either back for like retail pledges of those things, or you can just wait for it to come to retail, and it will eventually happen, and there'll be a version that you can buy in retail as well. But yeah. Oh man, this is a hard question. Favorite X-Men? I really like Gambit a lot. I used to always say Gambit. I like Gambit a lot. I mean, I know it's cliche, but I really enjoy Wolverine, just because Logan's awesome. And there's just so many of them. I just really enjoy. I like Nightcrawler a lot too. There's a whole bunch of different X-Men characters that I really enjoy, and that's why I enjoy the X-Men so much, is because there's so many characters that I really enjoy. Oh goodness. What villain would you like to see for Marvel Champions that is not leaked or anything yet? Mike Delisio would be upset with me if I didn't say Fing Fang Foom. You gotta have Fing Fang Foom. Who doesn't want a giant dragon in their game? It's an inside joke. So we were talking about Fing Fang Foom, and Mike didn't think it was a real thing, and so now we just always talk about Fing Fang Foom all the time. But seriously, man, they've done a bunch of really good ones. I'm excited about Sentinels coming to the game. Villain. Wow. If they did, I think they should do a standalone, like, Scarlet Witch villain. That would be awesome. Like, one of the standalone things, I think that would be really cool to have. I actually messaged the designers of the game and said, Scarlet Witch win. Well, not win, but I was like, please make Scarlet Witch their own villain, because I think that would be really cool, because she's already a hero. It'd be really cool to have her as a villain as well, because there's a lot of characters that can kind of be both, you know. So yeah, Scarlet Witch would be awesome. Roy, will there be a vlog for Gen Con this year on YouTube? So our new policy on doing vlogs and things like that is the fact that we all record stuff. It's not like individual vlogs. So we're all going to try to record things as we do different conventions and things like that. And then when we come back, I think Gen Con, we might try to do it like while we're there, but also like when we come back, we'll post that stuff all edited together from basically all of our different personalities that work here. Talking about our different experiences that we have at those different conventions. So hopefully we'll have really exciting things to show you during Gen Con. Let's see here. What was the last miniature you painted, and what was your favorite paint job? I was working on painting one of the Titans for the Eldar that Tom had. He was basically having me paint one of those up. I was trying to do it with like color shift paint and all this stuff. That's still a work in progress because those things are gigantic. And I've been kind of busy all over the place doing other things currently. And what was my favorite paint job? I know I painted the like Flame Titan from Blood Rage, and he's wearing like this gauntlet, and I painted his gauntlet up like the Infinity Gauntlet, and like he has the gigantic flaming sword. He looks really cool, and I made that before like in game and all that stuff even came out. So I found it really funny that I like made the Titan, made the giant, the fire giant into basically Thanos, which is from Titan, a giant himself. But yeah, something like that. What is the best job you had besides working at the Dice Tower? I don't know. I worked at Target for 10 years. I really enjoyed working at Walden Books just because I like bookstores, and we also ran like HeroClix tournaments there a little bit. So that's like the closest I got to like actually working like at a game store. I always like wanted to work at a game store. I thought it'd be cool to like I did a lot of like retail work and stuff like that. I'm like, I would like to do retail work for something that I'm actually passionate about and actually really like. But yeah, I don't know. I worked at like a soap factory. I worked at like a place that distributes like Mexican food. I don't know that those come nowhere close to working at the Dice Tower. I guess technically designing a board game counts as a job now too, and I've kind of did that on my own, making that happen and then pitching that. So if I have to pick a job, it's not really a job. It's kind of like a thing that happened to a thing. I would say making a board game. But yeah. Any surprises or challenges from the Last Light campaign that stood out to you? I don't know. I think one of the challenges is kind of interesting is GameFound is like a new platform, you know, and it's a big deal in board gaming because everybody knows what Kickstarter is. Not everybody, but a lot of people know what Kickstarter is. And GameFound is kind of like this new up-and-coming platform that a lot of people that are in the hobby and are really familiar with board games know what GameFound is. And GameFound also does a lot of things with the Dice Tower as well. But like, just like trying to get people to check out what GameFound is and like actually sign up for a thing and actually join. Because a lot of times, like even at Board Game Geek Con or at different conventions, when I'd be like, hey, Last Light's coming to GameFound, they would be like, what? Which I think is good for GameFound, the fact that we're out there telling people what it is, but trying to get people to sign up for GameFound and like get on a campaign there as opposed to Kickstarter, which so many people already have accounts for. I do feel like GameFound is an awesome platform, and it's really cool to be able to do the Kickstarter and have the backer kit, like late pledge stuff in the same system, and the fact that GameFound is run by gamers and for gamers. I think it's really cool, but getting people to sign up when they don't know what it is was a little bit of a challenge as well. And I don't know, in the long run of like, would Kickstarter or GameFound have done better? I really am super happy with how my game did. So I'm really happy that we're GameFound, and hopefully we're planting the seeds into a new thing that just ends up taking off. So that's kind of cool. Ruthie, let me know the name of the shredded meat. Ropa Viha. I'm gonna say it wrong, and then my Spanish is terrible. But yeah, it was so good. I love it. I love it. Oh, nice. Hey, Roy, do you remember the Battle Royale show? Do you have any plans to revive it? Do I remember a show that I created and ran? Yes, yeah. It was a lot of fun. I ran it with Brian Drake and Mark Streed, and basically we had all these different, basically like a showdown of like a bracket list of different stuff. We did one where we voted on the brackets, and then we also did ones where we were having the chat constantly vote. These were a lot of fun to do, and actually had pretty good reaction at first, but they were a lot of work to put together because I would have to basically make a PowerPoint that could be edited, not PowerPoint, but like a Photoshop thing that could be edited, and have all of these basically like polls like queued and ready. And Mark Street would constantly be making the polls as we're doing it. It was a lot of fun and very like frenetic and chaotic as we were doing it. But you know, battling games up against each other so often. We just kept seeing the games that were the most popular ended up winning, because it's like, oh, well, I haven't played this game and I have played this game, so I'm just going to always vote for the game that I've played. So I just feel like Gloomhaven and Wingspan, we're just going to always keep winning a lot of those. But it would be fun to someday do another one of those, but I don't know when it's going to happen. We're all very busy people. Brian's always doing magic shows and doing tons of reviews and like working on a lot of things for the Dice Tower and in his own personal life. Mark's always doing tons and tons of previews. And I'm always constantly editing and making content that you watch on a daily basis here at the Dice Tower. So we're all pretty busy people. And sometimes you don't necessarily see all the stuff that goes on. But I would love to do maybe another one-off one someday, but I don't think it could be a regular series. Greetings. Any tips on finding a stopping point for tabletop minis and being satisfied with them not being perfect works of art? I guess that's to each their own. I mean, like I said today in breakfast, it's really good to try to have like a tabletop quality, especially for like board game miniatures, where if it looks good when it's set out on the board or on the table, like I think that's good enough. I'm very much probably in your same camp of like wanting to like continue working on it and continue perfecting it. I'm not a super fast painter. I'm not like a speed painter. I just like to enjoy the process, and I mean, it depends on what you're doing it for. If you're just doing it to look good while you play the game, that's really cool. If you're doing it to post pictures of on the internet, that might be a different thing. If you're doing it to display in a display case, that might be a completely different thing. So depending on what you want to do with your miniature, that gets closer to work of art versus just being really cool to look on your table. You don't have to do a lot of work painting to make it look cool while it's sitting out there. I mean, it's pretty easy to get better than gray plastic, but you don't have to feel pressure to do any of that at all, you know, just whatever works for you, and as long as you're enjoying it, go at it, you know. Wow. I think I answered this last time. Oh, no, I didn't. I answered that on a thing on a different channel. But yeah, if you could meet any celebrity, living or dead, would you like to meet, and what would you like to play? I think it would be funny to play like Last Light with the SpaceX team, or like Elon Musk and stuff like that. It would just be kind of funny to be like, oh, the heat death of the universe. That'd be silly. I mean, copping out with my own game, I guess, is kind of silly. But yeah, that would probably be it, just because I have so much fun playing, and then it would be crazy to see them play. But they probably don't have time for that sort of thing. Jordan says, you got your X-Men United. Super jealous. I did not. Be jealous of Z and his Z shelf. Is running the video stream for Marvel races more difficult than the other streams? A lot of cameras to juggle. It is crazy that the most like switching intensive and craziness that I do for like switching stuff around is during the marble races video. It's just kind of funny that like there's so many switches that go into that, and then we also play videos in between each of the different heats and the different teams or leagues or whatever we call them, and then like the camera setup for marbles is extremely different from like anything else we do. So like I have to take cameras and point them in different areas, and we also use different microphones, so I have to switch that over as well. So there's a lot of like labor intensive stuff for setting up for marbles and then running marbles, because I constantly have to be on. It's not like playing a game, it's like, okay, I switch a couple camera angles. It's like, all right, they're rolling down the track. I have to switch 3 times when they're rolling down the track, and then go back to the top, and then sometimes show scores, and then manipulate those scores sometimes, and then also go switch to a video. It's the craziest thing we do, and it's marbles rolling down a track. It's kind of funny. But yes, it is, it's much more difficult than the other live streams, but also I've done enough times now that it's not that hard to run. And I could basically set up the cameras with my eyes closed, because that's kind of how your brain works, is the more you do something, the easier it gets. But we're there. We're making it happen. questions. Looking for questions here. Woohoo anime! Exactly. I wonder how I'm like probably ridiculously far behind. All right. Hi, Roy. I love your taste in games because they're pretty similar to mine. Everything you recommend hits me so well. So my question is, how do you like Descent Legends in the Dark? That's the newest Descent. We all played that together. I really enjoy a lot of the like app-driven games and things like that. I really enjoy Mansions of Madness and stuff like that. I enjoyed the previous Descent as well. I feel like as far as dungeon crawls go, Descent Legends in the Dark wasn't quite what I was hoping for, I guess. It seemed like a heck of a lot of setup, and I mean, the aesthetics looked really cool, but you had to set up the map and like these all different like shifting things, and the story felt strange to me. I only played through a couple of the scenarios, so maybe it gets better as it goes along. I know Tom played through a lot more of it than I did. But yeah, it just really wasn't something, and the price point was another thing that got me. I was like, it seemed pretty intense for what the game was. And I felt they could have done other cool things with it. So it wasn't one that I would pursue even more. I'd probably spend, if I was going to play a big campaign-based dungeon crawl, I'd probably play something more like Gloomhaven. Or if I want to play like a quick dungeon crawl, me and Tom just played Massive Darkness 2, which I hated Massive Darkness 1, but Massive Darkness 2 was actually a lot of fun, and I really liked a lot of the things going on in that as well. So that's a pretty good one for a dungeon crawl also. So I don't know. I would say try it before you buy it, mostly just because that price point. But if you're interested in the game, try to find a game group or people that have it and try it out. What was your initial concept for Last Light in your head? What were the main changes, if any, made during development? So I really enjoy 4X style games. I wanted to play a game that was 4X but could play faster. And it was really hard for me at first because there's so many of these style games already. And it's like if I make one that's set in space, like there's already several space games, it has to be different and has to have a reason to justify its existence. Because I mean, I love Twilight Imperium, I love Eclipse, I love a bunch of 4X style games. I love Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, which is fantasy. I love that genre, and I loved playing video games like Masters of Orion and things like that. And I really wanted a game that would allow me to build spaceships and take over planets and to be able to gather resources to build those ships up. Like my original idea for the game was almost like, I almost had like a feeling of like I wanted command and colors in the space where I was moving out ships and taking over planets and be able to get points for them. This was actually before the Space Command and Colors game. I don't remember the name of it, before that game even came out. So like I'd been working on this game for a really long time. And then it just kind of morphed into I wanted there to be like an actual board that was doing stuff, but I needed to be different. So I got this idea of the rotating star system and stuff like that, and that's when it really took off. And from there, I made the game. I had made kind of like a previous game that was in the trash that kind of like used the same action system, and like the simultaneous stuff and things like that. But it never really took off, and I didn't pursue it. And this was before I started doing board game media and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I made the game, I took it and showed it to some people at Gen Con, and they were really excited about it, which kind of shook me. Like they said it was really good immediately right off the bat, and I expected more criticism, I guess. And I just tweaked little tiny things, like I made the ships less expensive so that way you can get ships out on the board faster. And I just tightened things up. It was very much just adjusting little tiny things like, oh, that power is a little bit too powerful. Maybe it needs to exhaust when you use it. Oh, that power is a little bit too powerful. It needs to cost more when you use it. Just regular development sort of things. And it's kind of funny. I did so much development and so much playing of it that my publisher was actually like, we haven't really had to do a whole lot of development on this game at all, just because the way the game plays and the interaction between the players, they didn't have to do a ton of development work after they actually got a hold of the game. But yeah, I've had a blast playing it and teaching it with people. So, but yeah, I like the whole heat death idea. I watched In a nutshell, Karsquazat or whatever, their YouTube channel, they had this video on white dwarf stars that really gave me the inspiration for the game. And I really like astrophysics and science and space and things like that in general. So that kind of like led me to the theme of the game. But yeah, rotating planets around a dying star and trying to gather light before it goes out is kind of like an interesting concept to me. But yeah. Any word on how the demos of Last Light went at Origins? Yeah, I was talking to the Gray Fox team. They said they basically had a lot of people like coming in and playing, and they said they were going really well. I mean, I'm not there to teach the game, but Mike from Gray Fox is there doing it. We both demoed the game at Board Game Geek Con, and I feel really confident that Mike can really show the awesomeness of the game there. But yeah, this is Mike from Gray Fox, that is. But yeah, I hope they had a lot of fun. I hope people played it, and I'm sure I'll talk to them even more about it. But they said they've constantly had people at the table, and hopefully a lot of people came by and asked a bunch of questions. So hopefully they can check that out. Let's see. Favorite game to play with family? I have a bunch of family, so I play games with my girlfriend and her kids, and then also my kids. So her son is 3, so I've gotten to go back and play games with, like, that I would play with my kids when they were younger with him, and that's been a lot of fun, like teaching him Go Away Monster. And we actually played a bunch of Strike and Color Brain, like Disney Color Brain and things like that. And then Emma is her daughter, who is 6, and so she is like a little bit younger than my kids. So then she can kind of play the same games that Scotty and Violet can, but they're a little bit more advanced on like the reading and stuff like that. So they've been playing games for longer as well. So she's really into like my favorite game period is just Concept Kids. So like I did a top 10 list, obviously favorite family games. Concept Kids works with all of them together, and you can throw the grandparents in, and you can throw the adults in. You can throw everybody in with their Concept Kids. So that's definitely my answer. Violet's favorite game, what does she like? She likes stuff all over the place. They really enjoyed playing Cora Quest a lot, so they asked to play that all the time. And my son really likes, he asked me to play Marvel Champions all the time, which is kind of crazy. He's gotten to the point where he can play through stuff. I'm still helping him a lot, but it's a cooperative game, so he reads through the cards and like, oh, I'm going to play this, I'm going to play that. We work together to play a bunch of Marvel Champions. I do not recommend Marvel Champions for kids, like, at all, because there's a lot of reading and a lot of nuance to it. But my son was excited enough that we can make our way through games, but still not quite the same as playing it with someone that would be more experienced. But as a dad, it's fun. It's fun to let them play the games that they know you're excited about too. Let's see. Will you be reviewing the other Marvel Champions campaign boxes? I want to. I really need to play through them more. I need to play all the campaigns just to get, I mean, the heroes that are in them, I've definitely played them enough to where I could just do reviews of the heroes. But the actual campaigns themselves, I just need to play them more. There's a lot of content. Marvel Champions sometimes comes at you like a fire hose with how much content they put out. But I still look forward to every single one. But yeah, I just haven't played the villains enough to be able to make actual reviews on the campaign boxes. I am most of the way done through both of them, but I haven't actually finished enough of them to make those videos either. How far away are we from having 24/7 content? What would it take to get there? You mean like live streaming 24/7, like the Dice Tower is always on air, like Dice Tower TV? Or do you mean 24 hours of content like in a day? I know we're not close to 24 hours of content in a day. We put up a decent amount of videos per day. Like, let me actually look at my schedule here. We put up, like, what is today? Today is Monday. We're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos go up today. Most of them are live, but Monday is normally a slow day. Tuesday we have 1, 2, 3, 4 videos that are going up. Wednesday we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos that are going up. And normally our videos, I mean, we're not even close to 24 hours, but It's a lot of work editing and putting all that stuff together. I think if we ever were like, let's do a broadcast 24 hours all the time, I do think the quality would go way down because it's just so much work to put everything together. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I don't know that. I think people get sick of us after 24 hours. Where did all my stuff go? There we go. I started clicking on things. This one's a fun question. What was your most surreal moment so far for Last Light? So this like actually made me tear up a little bit. I was talking to Ryan Lockett, and I was gushing over how much I enjoyed Sleeping Gods, and how like I think it's great, and how it's crazy how he does the art and like all the different things from it. And this was the first time I've ever met Ryan Lockett, and like this was at Board Game Geek Con, and so I was talking to him about it and like how much, man, I think it's going to be on like a bunch of our top 10 lists at the Dice Tower because I think it's like super great and I love the story and the book and everything like that. And then he asked me about my game. He's like, oh, how's your game coming along? Like, I'm really excited about Last Light. Like, I'm looking forward to it. And like just the fact that like Ryan Lockett knew about my game and like said he was like excited about it and looking forward to it, like I played it off and was super cool, but as soon as I walked away, like I started tearing up just because I'm like, holy crap, that guy's like a savant when it comes to board games, and he actually knows my game even exists. That's crazy. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. I also had a moment where I was teaching. This is very inside baseball. This is another point where I cried when it came to the game. I was teaching the Fantasy Flight team. The head of Fantasy Flight at the time was Andrew Navarro and several other people. And like they were flabbergasted by the game and they like loved it. They ended up not publishing the game, but they said like this is going to be like the next big thing. Like this is going to be like we're going to put it in the TI universe. All this crazy stuff that people don't even know, but I guess now people kind of know. But yeah, the fact that Fantasy Flight was gushing over the game when they played it, or at least the head of studio, Andrew, was at the time, like that was really like shocking to me. But it ended up not working out, which was the opposite of that. The most like make me want to cry again. I cried twice. Fantasy Flight, stop making me cry. Anyway, but yeah, there's crazy moments like that have happened with the game. So several surreal moments have happened for sure. Gambit is cool. Yes. Mike said, you gotta have Fing Fang Foom. I am so far behind. Oh man. Oh man, I'm never gonna see anything. Chris says, Roy speaks truth, folks. Unless he says anything about me, then it's probably a pie. Key lime, sir. Wow, I'm just gonna skim through some things and see what would be here. Thanks for loving my shirt. Okay, let's see here. Let's go back. This one. Hey Roy, are you excited for Star Wars Outer Rim Unfinished Business? I need to play Star Wars Outer Rim again. I played it at the retreat and wasn't super like gripped by it. I played it like right when it first came out. And I have a copy of Star Wars Outer Rim, and I'd love to play it more. I'm a huge fan of Zaya. I really enjoy games that can give you that feel of being able to do different stuff. But I feel like when I played the game, I ended up getting like locked behind a TIE fighter and just blowing up over and over again. I'm not quite sure if we were doing something wrong or I wasn't quite grasping the concept of how to play properly. But yeah. I want to play Star Wars Outer Rim more, and then hopefully I could be excited about Unfinished Business because I like the idea of it. I like the idea of Star Wars and being a crazy bounty hunter type character. But my first play of it was not necessarily the greatest, and I need to play more to solidify my opinions on how the game works. Where is this? I saw this. What would your favorite Twilight Imperium faction be? I like a lot of them. Probably the Jonar because the free tech stuff, because I really enjoy upgrading the tech. But man, there's so many good ones. I feel like the Hassan or whatever are like I shouldn't be allowed to play them just because they have so much money. And the fact that they can kind of like pause the game and start trading money with people. They were so good last time I played with them. I really enjoyed them. But yeah, there's a ton of really good factions. But yeah, I'm going to say Jolnar just because the tech stuff is just so good. And being able to give away a promissory note that allows somebody else to get the same tech can be a really big bargaining chip for people as well. You know, that's huge. But yeah. Oh. Did you get a chance to play Sniper Elite, and does it stack up to the other hidden movement games you've played? I did play Sniper Elite. The first time we played it live was me, Tom, and Mike, and I played Sniper Elite, and I really enjoyed it. I think it is a good streamlined hidden movement game. I was talking to Tom about this. I still personally prefer Spectre Ops. Fear of Dracula is fun, but it takes a really long time, but it's also very unique with that Dracula theme. So I think Fear of Dracula is great. Spectre Ops is going to be my favorite just because I like it's almost like cyberpunkish feel to it, and you have a bunch of cool powers. Sniper Elite gives me a little bit of that feel too, because you have cool powers that you can play with the different sides, but then also it's got that war theme on it. I'm not as much of a fan of like military war themes and real world themes, especially with that stuff. I know my dad's a huge fan of it, but for me, I feel like this is a great game that I could play with my dad and he'd really enjoy it, and I'd really enjoy the mechanics as well. I just feel like it's a good, solid, streamlined game. I think it's great. So if you are excited about the theme and you want a hidden movement game, definitely check out Sniper Elite because I think it's solid. Do you have a good big brother, little brother game? Skirmish, title, and theme. Just one hard and one easier with solo. Wait, what? This is like 37 things that you asked me. With solo mode you'd recommend. I don't know. Did you say same-ish title and theme? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have... No, I don't know. I don't know what that means. Anyway. What band and artist are you listening to the most at the moment? I normally listen to a lot of like pop punk style stuff. Like I'll put in, or like emo music, I guess. I really enjoy the Wonder Years band. They're like a little bit, they're not even new at this point, but I like a lot of like MXPX and like Green Day and things like that. I like a lot of, and Blink-182, a lot of pop punk style stuff, and I normally just have my car on like a random station. Also listen to a lot of like My Chemical Romance and Newfound Glory and Taking Back Sunday, all of that stuff. I have a lot of that stuff that I play constantly all the time. I recently have gone to like, there's a basically like a bar event center or whatever up in Miami that's like alternative, and they have a lot of like alternative bands come in. One of Kenny's friends had a band that came and they played like ska music, and that was a lot of fun. So I went and listened to them there as well. And I've gone to emo night with my girlfriend and done karaoke there as well. So yeah, I really enjoy just alternative music in general, mostly like emo pop punk, like screamo type stuff. If I'm gonna pick a specific artist or band, I don't know because I don't listen to albums as much as I used to. I mostly just listen to a genre like shuffled these days. I mean, the fact that you can do that on Spotify or just in my car, I can just literally just pick a thing. I just listen to that. I listen to a bunch of like hyperpop music too, which is more like newer electric music that has like weird vocals, and I enjoy a lot of that stuff too, finding weird new stuff. But yeah. Hey Roy, how would you explain Gloomhaven to somebody who's really into D&D but doesn't have much board game exposure? I would say it's like D&D mixed with a miniatures movement game with like card combat. You still have a cool campaign, but you have all these cards that kind of help you determine your initiative and give you cool powers that can be upgraded as the game goes along. So just kind of like in D&D, how you level up, you upgrade some of your powers and get new feats and new stat upgrades and stuff like that. In this one, you can upgrade your cards as the game goes along, and you can. There's even more than that. You don't always play the same character as the game goes along. You can retire characters and get new characters, and then just big like branching story. I personally think it might be hard to bring people from D&D into dungeon crawl board games. You're probably more likely to do a different path than that. Like go get them into other board games than going straight from D&D to a dungeon crawl, because they're so familiar with D&D and how open-ended and open world D&D is. It's really hard to basically put them in a box and then tell them they have way more rules than they used to have. When they're used to being able to say, I climb that wall, and then the DM can help them find out what's on the other side of the wall, you can't do that in Gloomhaven. You can't just go backwards through the dungeon. You can't just leave and go talk to the person in the town, and DMs really help facilitate all of that stuff. It's very much a different system. So maybe get them used to other board games before you try out Gloomhaven. Just because I know when I went from D&D to other games, I wasn't as big of a fan of Descent. I wasn't as big of a fan of Gloomhaven. Well, Gloomhaven wasn't out yet. But those style games, just because they were so limiting and it felt like I was being crammed into a box. So maybe get them excited about other board games. But if you want to explain it to them, you can just explain it to them like, hey, it's got card combat and cool things and cool story. That sort of stuff. Da, da, da. Trevor just said he wanted to say hi and asked if I need more magic cards. You never actually sent me any magic cards. Just to be clear, you never actually sent me any. Luke Pryor, do you have a Grail game? I used to say it was Lord of the Rings. The like big deluxe box version was my Grail game, even though I already have War of the Ring. But yeah, I've played that. I've played Jason's version of it and Bonacor's version of that already, and I think it's cool, but I'm fine with my regular second edition of War of the Ring. I don't need the fancy gigantic box, is basically what you're getting with that. But yeah, I don't know what would be my Grail game. There's so many games that we easily have access here at the Dice Tower. Being at the Dice Tower has ruined me having Grail games, because I could probably get access to a game if I really wanted to. Yeah, because Grail games would be something that's been out for a while that I haven't been able to play. But yeah, I would say it used to be that War of the Rings box, but now it's not. Let's see. Luke says, also, will you bring me any sweets when we meet up here in Essen? Luke, I thought you were bench pressing and making things happen. You want sweets? I mean, we can get you sweets, but they're probably not going to be as cool. I mean, I guess they might be cool for you. I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait until Essen. That'll be super exciting. So, but yeah, maybe there's German stuff there that might be cooler too. I like trying new things. Seven says, why didn't they publish it? So I got different stories from different people that worked at the company. The main one was production. Like the production costs, they were worried about the rotating board. They were worried about these big planets, because even my prototype had all these crazy deluxe components. And if you know anything about Asmodee, they're very much about trying to have as big of a profit margin as possible like not cool inserts, not any of that stuff. So they were really worried about being able to afford to make the game in general. They normally don't go through Kickstarter, so that limits them to the games they can even make. And they thought that the game would do way better on a crowdfunding platform than it would be through normal distribution. But yeah, that was the main reason. But yeah, and then there were other people that worked at the company that were quite upset that they gave the game back to me. And I was quite upset too, but that's fine. I'm really happy with the publisher I'm with. I'm really excited about the way Grey Fox has made the game look, and the fact that they weren't going to make the planets cardboard planets and boring. They were going to make the game look amazing. And I'm super excited for it to get to people's table. Oh, snap. Mike's in there trolling trolling Luke. Roy, what is your most prized possession? So if we're talking about like actual things. I don't care about things that much. I don't know. Like, I don't think there's anything that I have that couldn't be replaced. But yeah, because I don't hold on to things like that. The things that are important are people and your friends and the people you get to spend time with. Stuff is stuff, you know. I don't think I have anything that I could like not part with. I'd rather focus my time and energy on the people. But I know I don't have anything too crazy that I think is not whatever. When did you start and what prompted the term min-max? It just became a thing, I guess. I think I got accused of trying to min-max stuff out, or just the fact of like, I mean, min-maxing is originally from D&D, where people would take a character, or when they made their character, instead of making them for the theme or the flavor of it, they would take the character and try to like figure out how to make their stats the best as possible and figure out how to take the very best feats and the very best powers and almost like break the game with how much they were maximizing. Instead of playing the game for like the fun and the flavor of it, playing the game to actually like crush the things and have the most optimized character possible. In board games, it's a very different thing, and it might even not really be a thing because I know min-maxers are frowned upon in D&D. But in board games, for me, it just means trying to use the abilities and powers and resources and everything you have in the game to like the best of their ability, and kind of like trying to see exactly where you can tweak things and what decisions you should make to properly, I guess, make the best opportunity to win the game, you know. If you're not min-maxing and you're not playing everything properly, then it's just a misplay, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I used to play a lot of CCGs as well, so I feel like maximizing your deck and making it as efficient as possible in a collectible card game, so that way your card draws are perfect. A lot of that stuff kind of all tied together. I just think it's funny how people have kind of like taken it and like, now Camilla says it all the time too, which is kind of funny. But yeah, we're just always trying to play the game the best you can and do the correct actions. How did you get hired at the Dice Tower? I've been here for such a long time. But yeah, so basically, I worked with Tom and them for quite a while. I started doing contributor segments on Board Game Blender, which is a show that Z used to run way back in the day. That was the first thing I ever did on the Dice Tower, was contributor segments on Z's show. Then I started doing Favorite Game Friday as well. I had a show that I still do called Favorite Game Friday, and I asked Tom if I could bring it over onto the Dice Tower. He liked the concept, so I started doing that also. And then I also started doing Throat Punch Lunch, which was Sam's show, which was another variety show. Now I've taken all the variety shows and kind of like made it just Board Game Breakfast. So we don't have several different variety shows. But I also started doing reviews for the channel as well. So I have some really old reviews with my kids when they were tiny on the channel. I think we did like My First Carcassonne and things like that way back in the day. And I still look back really fondly on a bunch of the early reviews I did on the channel. And I had a podcast that I did personally. But basically, I helped out Tom at conventions and things like that. I went to CMON Expo and did videos with him there. And then I also would help at Gen Con and things like that. I would work at the Dice Tower booth and just became really good friends with the team here. And then when a position opened up for an editor position, I called Tom and I applied, and basically it ended up working out. And I ended up moving my entire family down to South Florida and ended up doing the editing stuff here. And it's been great. I mean, I love being able to come to work. And yes, it is work because there's a lot of editing and a lot of like making sure everything's just right. But being able to do it on something that like I'm really passionate about and that I love, and being able to do it with friends is a lot of fun. So yeah, really good stuff. But yes, I worked with the Dice Tower a lot before I actually worked at the Dice Tower. What are we talking about? Are you planning on doing a day in the life of video like the other guys? maybe eventually at some point. I know that the video that Tom did that was like how I do a video review was a little bit of that. It was basically like showing how a review happens, which is a decent amount of like my job, because mostly I edit a lot of Tom's videos and then I run a lot of these live streams. I probably should do one of those. Also, my work schedule is super hectic too, so it's like I would have to figure out how to fit that in with the rest of it also. But yeah, I will probably end up doing one of those eventually, especially since everybody else is doing those behind the scenes videos. It'll just be a lot of me being like, and now I'm editing a video, and now I'm editing a video. And now we're running a live stream, which I guess is basically what everybody else's was. But it'll be fun. We can make it happen. Do you paint minis? If so, what was the first mini that you painted and the last? Well, I think I already talked about the last one. Is I'm still working on one of those Eldar Titans for Tom. But the first mini I painted, I started painting minis back in the day with a bunch of Necrons for Warhammer 40K. Oh no, it was way earlier than that. When I was a kid, I got some Lord of the Rings Games Workshop miniatures that came with a paint kit. I know there was a Uruk-hai paint kit and also like the it wasn't the Fellowship. I guess it was maybe more like the Hunters or like maybe some of the Rohan people. I painted those up when I was much younger, and I just painted those guys, and it came with the Games Workshop stuff like way back in the day. But I was really big in the Lord of the Rings, and for some reason my parents actually got me that, but I didn't really have enough to fully play the game. But I was excited about it, and my dad had a friend that had some of the Lord of the Rings stuff, so he ended up getting me some of it, so it was cool. And I painted those up, and I had a Aragorn that was poorly painted for quite a bit of my life, and I still have that miniature. So yeah, basically whenever a designer makes a game, a lot of times they will take that game and then pitch it to different publishers. My situation was unique is that I just played it with Plaid Hat, and they loved the game and then wanted to make it, and they were going to try to publish it under the Fantasy Flight brand, and that ended up not working out. So then I ended up going back and pitching to several other publishers, which Grey Fox is one of it. So normally as a designer, you will end up like making a contract where you give them the rights to the mechanics to make the game, and then they end up putting whatever theme on it and like trying to make it a certain way. So yeah, it's basically the same thing as any designer does when they pitch a game to a publisher, especially one that doesn't work at the specific company. And I think that's more often than not. There are a lot of like people that design a game and publish the game and do all the different stuff. But from a design standpoint, you make the mechanics of the game, and the publisher kind of does the rest of the work on that stuff. Wow, we're getting shorter on time. Oh, but I'm getting closer to the bottom. Let's see. The first time I ever crowd surfed was the Wonder Years concert, an amazing band. Oh man, I've never actually seen them live because I feel like maybe I was late to the game, or they're kind of like an in-between band. Like I think they're like, I don't remember when they started, but they're not as, like, I used to go to way more shows back in the early 2000s than in like the mid, like the 2014 and stuff like that. But yeah, they're really awesome, and I'd love to see them live. That would be a lot of fun. Would you like to be a full-time designer after the success of Last Light? No. I really enjoy designing games and things like that, but I love what I do here at the Dice Tower. I love creating board game media, and board game media gives me so many different opportunities to do a lot of different stuff as well. I love what we're building here at the Dice Tower, and it's really fun to create something that so many people enjoy, and to be a part of something, and to be a part of such a great team. So I love my job, and I love doing the Dice Tower. I love it's fun to do the board game thing as like a side thing and like as a creative outlet. And I do want to kind of like hone that craft and make sure like I can make sure to make good things. But I love my day job and the things I get to do here. And it's a lot of fun being able to create content and be a part of something that is like so well received, I guess. It's really fun being a part of the Dice Tower. So yeah, not planning on being a full-time designer, because that would mean I wouldn't be able to do this, which is my dream job. But, you know, being able to do stuff on the side is a little bit fun too. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. What are you most excited about Essen? I have never been, besides the Dice Tower cruise, which like goes to port at some places, I have never actually been out of the United States. So yeah, I haven't traveled anywhere besides within the country. And like on the Dice Tower cruise, I think we went to like Cozumel, but then you landed at like this resort thing, which is not really like going to Mexico, you know, it's not really the same thing. We've gone to like another resort thing in Jamaica, so that's not really the same thing, but like going to an actual, like going to Germany, going to another country where actual like things like, it's a completely different place. That's really exciting to me, and I'd love to meet a lot of people that, it'll be cool to see people that enjoy the Dice Tower from other parts of the world, like in person. I know I've talked to a lot of people online, but it won't be real until like we go there and see what it's like. And it'll be cool to be at an event where it's like huge in board gaming. I've heard that Essen's just ridiculous, and it's like worldwide basically. Like Gen Con is a big convention, but it feels very like American. Like there's a lot of American companies there. There are a bunch of companies from other parts of the world that go to Gen Con, but I feel like it's not like a World's Fair the same way that Essen is, and it'll be really cool to see that. Of course, trying out new and different foods is a plus, you know. But yeah, I'm really excited about all that stuff. Let's see, what else we got here? There's a ton of different things. Hey Roy, what was it like to meet Trey Parker? You guys probably announced it ahead of time, but I was totally surprised when he did his top 10. Yeah, so I actually met him at Gen Con before the pandemic. And one of the craziest things about it was one of the first things when I talked to him, met him, he like knew who I was, which was weird. He also asked me about my kids because he had seen the reviews I had done with them and like how I'd had them on Random Favorite Game Fridays and stuff like that. So the fact that like the designer of, or the creator of South Park was asking me about my kids and how they were doing was just mind-blowing to me, I guess. But yeah, I didn't hang out with him too much. We did a thing with like Asmodee people, and he was actually in my first game of Marvel Champions ever. But he's not really into LCGs, so that was kind of funny. So like my favorite game, I don't think Trey Parker likes Marvel Champions at all. But we do have a lot of similar taste in games other than that. I think mostly because he's into D&D and stuff like that. And it was cool when he was here. We talked about, like, he stood right beside me, like right here, and we talked about a bunch of D&D stuff and how he plays with his friends and things like that. And it was just cool about talking about DMing and how creating worlds and things like that, which kind of carries over a lot to creating different shows and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, I was kind of shocked. I was shocked the first time. 4, 5, or 6 string bass. I had a Music Man Stingray that was 4 string. And I wish I was a better bass player to be able to say that I could play all the more stringed basses, but having a 4 string bass seems good to me because I came from playing guitar, so it had very similar string setup to a guitar, so it makes it easier for me. But yeah, I played a 4 string Music Man, and it was a blast. I loved playing bass back in the day. But anyway, it looks like we are at 1 hour here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap these things up. Make sure to go back to the beginning of this where we talked about our Game Nerds contest that you can sign up for. So check that out. But also, thanks for joining me here. I've been Roy Cannaday, and I will continue to be Roy Cannaday. Thanks everybody for joining me. And I've got to get back to making more board game content and running more live streams for you guys. Anyway, I'll see everybody later. Have a good one. Bye.